All right, welcome back, and we are dealing with Gauteng June 2024 past exam paper, and question 3 it was about trig. So on 2.1 we are told that if A is equals to 78 degrees and B is equals to 34 degrees, calculate the values of the following expressions correct to 2 decimal places. So we are given sin A minus sin B, and we have been told that our angle A is equals to 78 degrees. So in other words, here we have got sin 78 degrees minus sin 34 degrees, and the answer, we should round it off to 2 decimal places. So I go to my calculator and then I press sin 78 like this minus sin 34, which is equal to, I get 0.418. I look at this third decimal number, it's above 4, which means I add 1. So my final answer is equals to 0.42. So 0.42 is my final answer, because they said I must round off to 2 decimal places. Then now they say cube root of sec A, right? So cube root of sec A, what are they talking about? They are simply talking about the fact that we've got a reciprocal ratio, and a reciprocal ratio of sec, so sec A, in other words, it has got 2 different ones. We have got what we call hypotenuse over adjacent, but this is when we are looking for a side, and this time around they are not looking for a side, they've given us what? An angle. So we are not going to use this trig ratio. Or we've got 1 over cos, and they said 1 over cos what? 1 over cos A, right? So in other words, we are now going to say cube root of sec A, we say 1 over cos, and our angle A is 78 degrees. So 1 over cos 78 degrees, right, is equal to, so we go to the calculator. Now what do? We now say shift, then we press the cube root, we say 1 over cos 78 degrees is equal to, then we find that it's 1,688. The third decimal number is bigger than 4, which means we add 1 here. The final answer is 1,69. And just like that, we are done. So far we've got our 4 marks, 2 and 2. Now we come to this scenario whereby we are told that in the diagram below, point P, which is this point here, it has got x coordinate -2 and y coordinate -1, and we are told that it lies in the third quadrant, and line OP is equals to r centimeters. So from here to P, this is where the r centimeters. The axis intersected O, your x-axis and the y-axis, which represents the origin on the sketch. So they intersected a point of origin. Now we are told that using the sketch, which is this sketch, and without using a calculator, calculate the length of OP. So we must determine the length of OP, but we mustn't use a calculator. Now remember, this -2 is an x coordinate and -1 is y. And when we go to our x coordinate, this is -2 here, and y, this is -1. And it confirms both from the point of origin going downwards, negative. From the point of origin going to the left, negative. So what do we have so far? R is what we are being asked to find, and what we have is the opposite, because from this angle, this -1 is your opposite, and from this angle, this -2 is your adjacent. So in other words, your hypotenuse is the R. So what are we going to do now? Remember, hypotenuse squared is equals to opposite squared plus adjacent squared. But this time around, we've been told that hypotenuse is equals to what? Is equal to R. So we're going to perform our calculations on the side here, whereby now we say that r squared is equal to our opposite, which is -1, so open bracket -1 close bracket squared, plus open bracket, our adjacent is -2 close bracket squared. R squared is equal to -1 squared, and please place it inside the brackets this -1 so that you get the correct value. It gives you 1 plus -2 squared. It also gives you 4. All right, now 1 plus 4 is equals to 5. So we've got r squared, which is equals to 5. Normally at this point, I would say that when you want to remove this squared, you would say square root and you would write plus or minus and square root plus or minus. However, this time around, I'm not going to write a plus or minus. Why is that the case? Because what I'm looking for is the hypotenuse, and hypotenuse in reality is a what? It's the distance, right? The distance from what? From your center to the circumference, which is the radius. So you can never call distance negative. So the answer that I get, I say therefore my r is equals to square root of 5, and remember centimeters, because we were given in the scenario that it was r centimeters, hence I wrote square root of 5 centimeters, right? So now they said I must determine the length of OP, and OP is r. So I say therefore OP is equals to square root of 5 centimeters. I have answered as they wanted me because they told me about OP. Okay, done. Then we go to the next question, which now says that value of square root of 5 cos theta plus 4 cosec squared theta, and it has got 4 marks. Remember, this question, all these 3 questions here, they are based on this particular diagram. So what am I going to do now? I'm now going to be deriving things, but before I proceed, I think it's best if I come here and I say, based on this diagram, they want a cos theta. What's my cos theta? When I say cos theta, I say adjacent over hypotenuse. What's my adjacent? My adjacent is -2, so I've got -2 over my hypotenuse. I found square root of 5. So I found the first value. Now cosec, when you say cosec, you say cosec, and here because we are dealing with the sides, we are not going to use the trig ratio, which is about angles. So cosec squared theta is equals to, we say hypotenuse over opposite, hypotenuse over opposite, right? So our cosec squared theta is equals to, our hypotenuse we found square root of 5 over our opposite is -1, like that. So now these values, that's for the cosec and the cos. Now on this side, I'm now going to write square root of 5. So I've got square root of 5 here, and cos theta, which is negative, so multiplied by -2 over square root of 5, and we're told plus cosec squared theta, and my cosec squared theta is what? Square root of 5 over -1. So I've got square root of 5 all over -1, and it's squared like that. So now I say is equal to, now this square root of 5 is square root of 5 over 1, and I've got square root of 5 here. So square root of 5 and square root of 5, they cancel out. I've got a 1 here. Positive times negative, I get a negative, and 1 times 2, I get a 2, right? And here I'm going to use my laws of exponents. So this squared cancels out the square root, so I've got plus 5 here, all over -1 squared gives me a positive 1. And I made a mistake. I forgot to write this 4, right? Remember, I was given 4 cosec squared, so which means multiplied by 4 here. So here the answer that I got of 5 over 1, I will multiply it by 4 there, which is now equal to, I've got -2 plus 5 multiplied by 4 is equal to 20, and -2 plus 20 is equals to 18. So my final answer is 18. And just like that, we are done and we collect our 4 marks. All right. Then the last question now says that evaluate without using a calculator sin 45 degrees, square root of 2 over 2 multiplied by tan squared 30 degrees. Here I must use my triangles of special angles, and I've got the scale in and the isosceles inside my head. What is the scalene? The scalene is the one which has got 60 degrees, 30 degrees, and 90 degrees. Remember, scalene simply means it's a triangle that has got 3 unequal sides and 3 unequal angles. So here we've got 60, there we have got 30, there we've got square root of 3, here we've got 1, and there we've got 2. That's the scalene. Now we draw the isosceles. Isosceles is a triangle that has got 2 equal sides and 2 equal angles. And the equal sides are 1 and 1. And here we've got 45. There we've got 45, 2 equal angles. These are the angles which are equal. And the hypotenuse is square root of 2. So now, when I'm told that sin 45 degrees, I come here to this 45 degrees, and my sin is equals to opposite over hypotenuse, which is 1 over square root of 2. So I'm saying 1 over square root of 2. Then here I'm told that divided by, so I'm going to use this type of division, square root of 2 over 2. So I say square root of 2 over 2. And here it's multiplied. So I'm going to multiply by tan squared 30. My 30 degrees, my tan is opposite over adjacent. So I've got 1 over square root of 3. However, it's squared, so I put my squared there. So before I use my KCF method, I need to find one trig ratio this side. So what am I going to do? I'm going to rewrite the 1 over 2. At this stage, I'm going to rewrite the division, and then I'm going to say square root of 2 over 2 multiplied by, now 1 squared gives me 1 all over. This square root is cancelled by this square. So now, which means that I'm left with 3 there, right? All right. Now, we now say 1 over 2 divided by square root of 2 multiplied by 1, that's square root of 2, all over 2 multiplied by 3, that is equals to 6. Now, on the next stage, now I can use the KCF method because now I've got one trig ratio. So now I say 1 over 2, I change this sign, it becomes a multiplication sign, and then I flip here. Now I've got 6 over root of 2, which is equals to, these two, they've got a common factor, 2 into 2, that's 1, 2 into 6, that's 3. 1 multiplied by 3 is equals to 3 all over square root of 2. Over square root of 2. And just like that, I have found my answer, right? Yes. 3 over square root of 2 is the final answer. And then we are done, right? Because they had said tan 30 and opposite over adjacent. Okay. Now, on the next video that I'm going to do, it's a continuation of this paper of Gauteng 2024. Now, I'm going to be dealing with what? Trig functions. So you don't want to miss out the trig functions, the questions which are there, and another trig equation question, which is there. It was a tricky question which needed somebody to use their mind, because at first they give you it in algebraic form. The algebraic form is the one which was tricky, so you don't want to miss out that video. All right, if you found this video to be helpful, please do consider subscribing, like, comment, and share. Till we meet next time, cheers.